Hey everybody, this review is on the movie Big Fat Liar. So the plot of this movie is this boy named Jason Shepard, played by Frankie Muniz, is a pathological liar, and he really got in trouble at school because he didn't do his homework for English class, and the next day he actually decides to do it, and once he goes to school he ends up running into a limo where he meets a producer named Marty Wolf, played by Paul Giamatti, and while he's rushing into school, he accidentally leaves his paper in the limo. And of course, when he tells his teacher and his parents what happened, no one believes him. And wouldn't you know it, the short story that Jason wrote ends up becoming a upcoming movie called Big Fat Liar. So Jason joins his friend Kaylee, played by Amanda Bynes, to go to Hollywood and try to convince Marty to tell everyone that he stole the story, and hopefully Jason will get redeemed by his parents. Okay, yeah, technically I did review this movie years ago, but for some reason it got taken down for copyright reasons, even though it had no footage. I don't know why. Anyway, but Big Fat Liar, for what it is, I think this is a pretty good film. Yeah, it's ridiculous. I admit, like, objectively, this is a very silly movie. But as someone who does have a soft spot for these kinds of movies sometimes, I think this is one of the better ones. It very much feels like it very much has that old school Nickelodeon vibe, which is fitting because this movie was produced and even written by the creators of all that and Dan Schneider. Yeah, I know he's gone through a lot of troubles recently, but we'll get that out of the way. But that aside, Big Fat Liar, it's a fun film, and it's honestly not quite as stupid as you would think. Like, you think a movie like this, it would be over the top, it's like, which it is, and you think that it wouldn't really have anything to say about the film industry, and it's just a goofy comedy with some toilet humor, but surprisingly, no, it's not that juvenile. Like, there isn't even like really any toilet jokes in this, at least not that I can remember. It's been a while since I. No, wait, there actually is. There was one poo joke in the movie, but it was pretty brief. But where Kaylee's brother is like, off screen says, "I took a dookie and it clogged up the toilet." That's pretty much the only piece of poo humor in this movie. But most of it's just kind of slapstick screwball type humor because a big chunk of the movie is Jason pulling pranks on Marty and sabotaging him. And a big plot point is that he becomes blue, as you see on the cover. That's why there's a blue man on the cover. Yeah, it's and the whole thing that he puts blue dye in his swimming pool, and then he's blue for like half the movie. Like for half the movie, he like has orange shampoo in his hair, and he's walking around. He's a blue. And you know what's funny? That's a joke you think would get old really fast. Like you would think it would be like one of those stupid childish jokes like, haha, he turns blue, he's a blue man, and then when it drags on for so long you think, oh, this isn't funny anymore. But surprisingly, I think the joke works because they don't draw attention to it. I mean, yeah, there's some people who kind of laugh at him, they call him blue boy and stuff, but like it's funny for most of the movie, like they don't draw attention to him be blue. He's just casually walking around and nobody really makes any comments, and that's funny. I think that's actually pretty funny. So this movie, does it can be pretty subtle with its goofy humor, and even when there is like a very silly joke, it's not often like thrown in your face and it's not brought up constantly. A lot of this movie, lots of the humor, it's just set up in one scene and then they move on to continue the story and just tell another joke. So, yeah, this movie isn't really flashy and over the top with its stupid humor. They're not throwing it in your face all the time. And it's surprisingly pretty smart. For a kids' film, I think this is a pretty relevant satire of the film industry about how a producer just stole a kid's story, and basically you would think the kid would just hold a lawsuit or something, but no, he actually tries to sabotage him into talking out of it, and that's definitely what makes it more fun. I mean, I don't think a lawsuit story would be that interesting to kids, and I think this makes it more over the top and silly. And yeah, let's be real, movie producers aren't exactly the best type of people in Hollywood. So I guess this movie is a bit more smarter and more realistic than you might think. But and even the acting, Frankie Muniz and Amanda Bynes, I think they both really work well together. Frankie Muniz does start off as that's kind of a that kind of cheeky teenager, that kind of Ferris Bueller type kid who like who lies a lot, but then he starts to realize that some maybe sometimes there's really bad consequences to lying, and you could end up in bigger trouble. And he ends up going on this huge adventure. And Kaylee, she's basically the best friend. Like you think in a normal movie like this, you think Kaylee would be like the one best friend who actually believes Jason and the one who wants to prove his innocence. But no, sometimes she even questions his decisions, and I like that. It does make her very different. And Paul Giamatti, he's the show stealer. I thought he was really good in this role as Marty. Like for a kids movie villain, yeah, he's over the top, but that's what makes it so fun. I like his mannerisms, his big loud expressions, and even just the fact that he's half the movie he's blue and he's just casual about it. I think he's really fun, and I like that they gave it to an actor who's not really defiant. He's not really a one note actor. Like they didn't pick like it's not like one of those movies like they didn't pick someone like Arnold Schwarzenegger or Joe Pesci or Vin Diesel or you know like one of those tough guy actors who's like, he's an antagonist in a kid's movie and he's all blue. They went with an actor who really does work as a kid's movie villain. Like yeah, you can tell he's a big jerk, but he's also funny and and he's very animated with his expressions and all the scenarios he's put in, and it's just a fun film. Like yeah, it's silly, but that's really the charm of it. That's part of the fun. It's like I said, it's basically like an old school Nick. This basically feels like a Nickelodeon movie, even though it's not. But it's really fun, and if you like movies about the film industry, I think this is a pretty good one to check out. If you don't want to see, a big complex film about the aspects of filmmaking, if you want something more simple, I think this is a pretty good one to check out. And even if you were one of those weird kids like me who was a child that liked the idea of filmmaking, I think for movies about filmmaking, this is a good introduction. And it is a silly movie, like I said, but it's not overly stupid, and it knows what it is. So, Big Fella, it's a good film for what it is. I think it's fun. It's not great or anything, but it's likable, charming, and it mostly tries not to be stupid. So I really give it credit for that. So it's a fun movie, and if you just want to see a goofy kids comedy one day, I'd recommend this. So yeah, that's my review of Big Fat Liar. So catch you later.